Welcome back to True Soul Stories, everyone. If you're just joining us, stop right now and go watch part 1 because you are not ready for what's about to happen. For those of you who've been waiting, commenting, demanding part 2, you asked for it. And trust me, you're getting way more than you bargained for. Before we dive in, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Seoul? New York? Lagos? London? I want to know where my True Soul Stories family is at. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button now because this story is about to get absolutely insane. The steady beep of hospital monitors was the first thing Jasmine heard. Then pain. Sharp, burning pain that radiated from her shoulder through her entire body like lightning. Her eyes cracked open to blinding white fluorescent lights and the antiseptic smell of a hospital room. She was alive. The realization hit her like a freight train, and she gasped, trying to sit up. Immediately, hands pressed her back down. Gentle but firm. Easy. Don't move. You've got 15 stitches, and they just stopped the internal bleeding 2 hours ago. Minjun's voice. Hoarse, exhausted, but there. Jasmine turned her head and found him sitting beside her bed. He looked like hell. His shirt was stained with dried blood. Her blood, she realized. His eyes were red-rimmed, and he had at least 2 days' worth of stubble darkening his jaw. How long? Her voice came out as a croak. 36 hours. You've been unconscious for a day and a half. He reached for a water cup, holding the straw to her lips. Drink slowly. The water was heaven. Jasmine drank, then pushed the cup away. Her mind was clearing, memories flooding back in sharp, painful detail. The basement. Mrs. Kang's face twisted with rage. The letter opener. The blood. So much blood. Your father. Where's your father? Minjun's expression went dark. Intensive care. 3 floors down. He's stable, but the doctors say the next 48 hours are critical. If he survives that, he'll probably live. If not, he didn't finish the sentence. And Mrs. Kang? In custody. Police have her in a medical ward under armed guard. She's being charged with attempted murder. 2 counts. His jaw clenched. She's claiming temporary insanity. Says the pressure of the situation broke her. Her lawyers are already building an elaborate defense. Jasmine absorbed this information slowly. She should feel relieved, vindicated. But all she felt was numb. And Hyunwoo. That's the problem. Minjun stood, moving to the window. Outside, Seoul stretched endlessly, glittering in the late afternoon sun. He disappeared. The night his mother attacked my father, Hyunwoo vanished. No one's seen him. His phone is off. His credit cards haven't been used. It's like he became a ghost. Something cold crawled down Jasmine's spine. You think he's planning something. I know he is. Hyunwoo doesn't run. He's too arrogant for that. No, he's hiding. Waiting. And when he makes his move, it's going to be catastrophic. Before Jasmine could respond, the door burst open. A nurse rushed in, her face pale with panic. Mr. Kang, you need to come now. Your father, he's coding. Minjun was out the door before Jasmine could blink. She tried to follow, swinging her legs off the bed despite the protest of every muscle in her body. The nurse tried to stop her, but Jasmine fixed her with a look that could cut glass. Either you help me walk or I crawl, but I'm going. Your choice. The nurse, wisely, chose to help. By the time they reached the ICU, a crowd had already gathered. Doctors and nurses swarmed Mr. Kang's room. Through the window, Jasmine could see them working on him. Chest compressions, defibrillator, organized chaos as they fought to restart his heart. Minjun stood frozen outside the room, his hands pressed against the glass like he could will his father back to life through sheer force of determination. Come on, he whispered. Don't you dare give up. Not now. Not like this. The seconds stretched into minutes, each one feeling like an eternity. Jasmine found herself holding her breath, praying to a god she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. The hallway seemed to close in around them. Other patients' families watched from doorways, sensing the gravity of the moment. Then, finally, one of the doctors looked up, made eye contact with Minjun, and nodded. They'd gotten him back. Minjun's knees nearly buckled with relief. Jasmine caught his arm, steadying him even though her own legs were shaking. He looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw something that made her chest tight. Gratitude, trust, and something else. Something deeper that neither of them was ready to name yet. Thank you, he said quietly, for saving my life back there. You didn't have to. Jasmine's response was immediate and came from somewhere deep in her core. Somewhere that had been forged in fire and refused to break. Yes, I did. Because unlike everyone else in your family, you treated me like a person, like I mattered. And where I come from, when someone has your back, you have theirs. No questions asked. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Where you come from? You never told me your story. How you ended up in Seoul. Working for my family. That's because it's not a pretty story. Jasmine leaned against the wall, exhaustion hitting her in waves. But if you really want to know, I'll tell you. Just not here. Not now. When this is over. If this is over, she corrected. Your brother is still out there. Your stepmother is facing life in prison. Your father is fighting for every breath. This is far from finished, Minjun. He knew she was right. But before he could respond, his phone rang. He answered, listened for 10 seconds, and his entire body went rigid. Where? When? A pause. I'm on my way. He hung up and looked at Jasmine with an expression that made her stomach drop. That was my father's head of security. The real one, not the bastard working for my stepmother. He found Hyunwoo. Where? The family estate. Our actual home, not the mansion. He's there with about 15 men, all of them armed. And he's demanding that I come alone, or he starts burning everything my father built to the ground. Here's where it gets crazy. Because this wasn't just about inheritance anymore. This was about pride. About a man who'd been given everything and lost it all in the span of a week. And men like that, cornered and desperate, were capable of absolutely anything. You can't go alone, Jasmine said flatly. That's suicide. I don't have a choice. If I bring police, he'll see them coming and torch the place. Decades of business records, family history, assets worth billions. All of it will burn. And knowing Hyunwoo, he'll kill himself just to deny me the satisfaction of victory. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You can barely stand. Jasmine pushed off the wall and walked toward him. Each step hurt like hell, but she kept her expression neutral. I didn't ask for permission. I told you what's happening. Besides, he's not expecting me. I'm your advantage. You're injured and unarmed, and I'm the one who slapped him in front of a witness. The one he tried to break and couldn't. The one who helped bring his entire world crashing down. Jasmine's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. That man hates me almost as much as he hates you. Maybe more. So yeah, I'm exactly who needs to be there when this ends. They stared at each other. Two people who'd been thrown together by circumstance and forged into something unbreakable through fire. Finally, Minjun nodded. Fine. But you do exactly what I say when I say it. Understood. Understood. It was a lie, and they both knew it. But there wasn't time to argue. The drive to the family estate took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of tense silence broken only by Minjun making phone calls, setting things in motion that Jasmine didn't fully understand. By the time they pulled up to the gates, night had fallen over Seoul like a blanket. The estate was massive. 10 acres of prime real estate on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by walls that looked more appropriate for a fortress than a home. The gates stood open, inviting. A trap waiting to be sprung. Last chance to back out, Minjun said quietly. Jasmine's response was to open her door and step out into the night. Her shoulder screamed in protest, but she ignored it. Pain was temporary. Fear was a choice. And she'd stopped choosing fear the moment she slapped Hyunwoo across his arrogant face. They walked through the gates together. The main house loomed ahead, every window lit up like a beacon. Or a warning. The grounds were eerily quiet. No guards visible. No movement. Just the house waiting for them like a predator with its jaws open. The front door swung open before they reached it. Minho stood there, the head of security who'd betrayed them, who'd planted evidence and helped orchestrate attempted murder. His face was bruised, like someone had beaten him recently. He's waiting in the study, Minho said, not meeting their eyes. Just you two. No weapons. No phones. Minjun handed over his phone without argument. Jasmine did the same. They were patted down professionally, thoroughly. Minho found the small knife Jasmine had tucked into her boot and removed it without comment. Then they were led inside, through halls lined with generations of Kong family portraits. Men and women staring down with judgment and pride. The weight of legacy pressing down from every angle. The study doors stood open. Hyunwoo sat behind what had been his father's desk, feet propped up, a glass of expensive whiskey in one hand. He looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, his hair unwashed, his clothes rumpled. But the gun on the desk next to him looked very clean and very ready to use. Brother, he said with mock cheerfulness. You came, and you brought the help. How democratic of you. Jasmine felt rage ignite in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. You wanted him here. He's here. What now? Hyunwoo's gaze slid to her, and something ugly flickered in his expression. You should be dead. I had Minho check the hospital records. That letter opener punctured your subclavian artery. You should have bled out before they got you to surgery. Disappointed, Jasmine stepped forward, and she had the satisfaction of seeing Hyunwoo's hand twitch toward the gun. Sorry to ruin your plans. Again, Jasmine, Minjun's voice held a warning. But Jasmine was done being careful, done being diplomatic. She'd almost died twice in 1 week, and something in her had fundamentally shifted. The fear that had kept her cautious, that had made her lower her eyes and bite her tongue, was gone, burned away in that basement room. No, she said clearly. I'm tired of walking on eggshells around this psychopath. You want to know what I think, Hyunwoo? I think you're pathetic. You had everything, money, power, a father who gave you every opportunity, and you squandered it all because you're too weak and too stupid to be anything other than a bully. The silence that followed was deafening. Hyunwoo stood slowly, the gun now in his hand. Careful, girl. You're only alive because I allow it. Am I? Jasmine laughed, and the sound was sharp as broken glass. Because from where I'm standing, I'm alive because I'm stronger than you. Because when you tried to break me, I broke you instead. Your mother is in jail. Your father is in intensive care. Your inheritance is gone. And all of it happened because you couldn't handle the fact that a black maid from nowhere had the audacity to tell you no. Shut up. The gun was pointing at her now. Make me. Jasmine took another step forward. Behind her, she could feel Minjun tensing, ready to intervene. But she needed this. Needed Hyunwoo to understand that he hadn't won. Would never win. You think that gun scares me? After everything I've survived? Pull the trigger. Go ahead. Because dying is better than spending one more second pretending people like you have power over people like me. I said shut up. Hyunwoo's hand was shaking now. The gun wavered between Jasmine and Minjun. You don't understand. You can't understand. This was supposed to be mine. All of it. My birthright. And he took it. The bastard son who shouldn't even exist took everything from me. He didn't take anything, Minjun said quietly. You threw it away. And now you're trying to blame everyone else for your failures. Failures? Hyunwoo swung the gun toward his brother. I'm not the failure. I'm not the one who had to fight for scraps of affection, who had to prove I belonged. I was born to this. Born to lead this family. And you? He choked on the words. You're nothing. A mistake. An accident that never should have happened. Maybe, Minjun agreed calmly. But I'm the mistake our father chose. And you're the legitimate heir he rejected. That must really hurt. Hyunwoo's finger tightened on the trigger. For a horrible second, Jasmine thought this was it. That after everything, it would end with a bullet and blood and a madman's revenge. But then a voice cut through the tension like a blade. Put the gun down, son. Every head turned. Mr. Kong stood in the doorway. He shouldn't have been out of bed, let alone standing. He was pale as death, leaning heavily on a cane, with 2 nurses hovering behind him looking terrified. But he was there, alive, conscious, and absolutely furious. Father, Hyunwoo breathed. You're supposed to be dying. Mr. Kong moved into the room slowly, each step clearly costing him. I was. For about 90 seconds, I was dead. Got a good look at the other side. Decided I wasn't ready to go. Not until I fixed the mess I made of this family. He stopped a few feet from the desk, his eyes boring into his legitimate son with an intensity that made even Jasmine take a step back. I failed you, Mr. Kong said quietly. From the day you were born, I failed you. I gave you everything except what you actually needed. Discipline. Consequences. The understanding that you're not special just because you exist. You're special because of what you do, who you choose to be. And you, Hyunwoo, you chose to be cruel. You chose to be weak. You chose to be everything I despise. Don't. Hyunwoo's voice broke. Don't you dare say that to me. I'm your son. Your real son. You deserve exactly what you've earned. Which is nothing. Mr. Kang's voice was flat. Final. I'm formally disowning you. You'll receive a settlement. Enough to live comfortably if you're not an idiot about it. But you will have no claim to the Kong Empire. No position. No power. As of this moment, you are not my heir. You're not even my family. The words landed like physical blows. Hyunwoo's face crumpled, years of anger and insecurity and desperate need finally surfacing. For just a moment, Jasmine almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Because she remembered the basement. The threats. The violence. The absolute certainty in his eyes that he could do whatever he wanted to her and face no consequences. Then he raised the gun again, pointing it directly at his father's chest. You can't do this to me. I won't let you. Then shoot me. Mr. Kong didn't even flinch. Go ahead. Murder your father. Prove to everyone that I was right to cut you off. Or put the gun down, leave Seoul, and maybe, someday, find a way to become the man you should have been. The standoff stretched. 10 seconds. 20. Jasmine could see the calculation happening behind Heinwa's eyes. The war between pride and self-preservation. She held her breath, wondering which impulse would win. Finally, slowly, he lowered the gun, placed it on the desk, and laughed. It was a broken, hollow sound. You win, he said to no one in particular. You all win. The bastard gets the empire. The maid gets to be a hero. And I get nothing. That's fair, right? That's justice. He walked toward the door, movements jerky and wrong. As he passed Jasmine, he stopped, leaned in close enough that only she could hear. This isn't over, he whispered. You think you've won, but you've just made an enemy who has nothing left to lose. Watch your back, girl, because I'm going to destroy you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, when you least expect it, I'm going to take everything from you the way you took everything from me. Then he was gone, walking out of the estate, out of his family, out of the life he'd been groomed for since birth. Jasmine watched him go and felt nothing. No fear, no triumph, just a bone-deep exhaustion that made her want to sleep for a week. Is it over? She asked quietly. For now, Minjun said. He moved to his father's side, helping the old man into a chair before he collapsed. But he meant what he said. Hyunwoo will be back. Men like him always come back. Then we'll deal with him when he does. Jasmine's voice was firm. But tonight, can we please just exist without someone trying to murder us? Mr. Kong laughed, then winced at the pain it caused. I like her, he said to Minjun. She has steel in her spine. Don't let this one go. Make sure you're subscribed because what happens next is going to blow your mind. Drop a like if you're Team Jasmine, and comment if you think Hyunwoo is really gone for good. Spoiler alert, he's not. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of lawyers, police statements, and media coverage. Mrs. Kang's attempted murder trial was set for 3 months from now. Her lawyers were fighting hard, but the evidence was damning. Video footage, witness testimony, forensic reports. She was going away for a long time. Hyunwoo had disappeared completely. No sightings, no credit card activity. It was like he'd evaporated into thin air. The police had issued a warrant for questioning, but he was a ghost. Mr. Kong recovered slowly, stubbornly refusing to stay in the hospital longer than absolutely necessary. Within a week, he was back at the mansion, holding meetings from his bedroom, rebuilding his empire one phone call at a time. And Jasmine was in limbo. She wasn't a maid anymore. That much was clear. But she wasn't family either. She existed in a strange in-between space where the staff didn't know how to treat her and the Kangs didn't know what to do with her. The other servants whispered when she walked by, some with admiration, others with resentment, a few with outright jealousy. She'd gone from being one of them to being something else entirely, something undefined. And in the rigid hierarchy of the Kong household, undefined was dangerous. Until one evening when Minjun found her in the garden, sitting among the roses she'd once been paid to tend. We need to talk, he said. Jasmine's stomach clenched. She'd been expecting this. The polite dismissal. The generous severance package. The thank you for your service. Now please leave so we can pretend this entire disaster never happened. Okay, she said carefully. Talk. Minjun sat beside her on the bench. For a long moment, he just looked at the flowers. Then he spoke, and what he said was not at all what she'd been expecting. My father wants to make you an offer. He wants to send you to university. Full scholarship. Any school you want, anywhere in the world. Degree in whatever field interests you. All expenses paid. It's his way of saying thank you for saving both our lives. Jasmine blinked. That's incredibly generous. But I can't accept it. Why not? Because it feels like payment. Like hush money. Take the scholarship, go away, and forget everything that happened here. She turned to face him. I didn't save your life for a reward, Minjun. I did it because it was the right thing to do. Because you're a good person in a family of vipers, and the world needs more good people. Something shifted in his expression. Then what do you want? Because I know you can't stay here. Not as a maid. Not after everything. So what comes next for Jasmine Park? It was the question she'd been asking herself every night for 2 weeks. What did she want? Freedom? Security? Revenge? Purpose? I want the truth, she said finally. Your truth. You told me once that you had someone you loved. That Hyunwoo destroyed that relationship just to hurt you. I want to know what happened. All of it. Minjun was quiet for so long that Jasmine thought he might refuse. Then he started talking, and the story that spilled out was worse than anything she'd imagined. Her name was Yuna. She was brilliant. Harvard MBA, fluent in 4 languages, photographic memory. Her father worked for mine as the head accountant. She and I grew up together. Best friends first, then something more. His voice was distant, lost in memory. I loved her. genuinely loved her, was going to propose, had the ring picked out, and everything. He paused, and Jasmine could see the pain etched in every line of his face. Hyunwoo found out. I don't know how, but he did. And he decided that if I loved her, she must be worth taking. So he seduced her. Spent 3 months playing the perfect gentleman. Charming. Attentive. Everything I wasn't because I'd gotten comfortable. I thought what we had was unbreakable. But it wasn't, Jasmine said softly. No, it wasn't. She slept with him. Once. Said it was a mistake. That she'd been drunk and confused, and it meant nothing. But the damage was done. I couldn't look at her the same way. Couldn't trust her. And Hyunwoo made sure everyone knew what had happened. Turned it into a joke. The bastard's girlfriend chose the real son. That's sick. That's Hyunwoo. Minjun's laugh was bitter. Yuna left Korea 6 months later. Moved to Singapore. We haven't spoken since. And I swore that day that I would never let him destroy someone I cared about ever again. The implication in those words hung heavy between them. Someone I cared about. Present tense. Is that what I am to you? Jasmine asked quietly. Someone you care about? Minjun turned to face her fully. I don't know what you are to me, Jasmine. I know you're brave. I know you're honest. I know that every time I'm around you, I feel like I can breathe for the first time in years. But I also know that caring about people in my world is dangerous. Look what happened to Yuna. Look what almost happened to you. So what? We just pretend there's nothing here? Ignore it and move on with our lives. That would be the smart thing to do. When have I ever done the smart thing? Jasmine challenged. That got a real smile out of him. Small, but genuine. Never. You do the right thing. Even when it's stupid and dangerous and could get you killed. It's infuriating. Good. I'd hate to be predictable. They sat there in the garden as the sun set over Seoul, 2 people who'd been forged in fire and had no idea what came next. The moment felt fragile. Important. Like the next word spoken would set the course for everything that followed. But the moment shattered when Soo-jin came running through the garden, her face pale with terror. Jasmine. Minjun. Come quick. Something's happened. They ran. Through the gardens, through the mansion, to the main hall where a crowd had gathered. On the floor, surrounded by staff and security, was young Soo, the elderly servant who'd been kind to Jasmine from her first day. He was gasping, clutching his chest, his lips turning blue. Heart attack, someone said. We've called an ambulance. But Jasmine could see it in his eyes. This wasn't a heart attack. This was poison. She dropped to her knees beside him, taking his hand. Young Soo, what happened? What did you eat? Drink. He tried to speak, but only a wheeze came out. His free hand scrabbled at his pocket, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper. He pressed it into Jasmine's hand, his eyes desperate, and then he went still. No. One of the other servants started CPR, but Jasmine already knew it was too late. Young Soo was gone. She looked down at the paper in her hand, unfolded it with shaking fingers. Inside was a message, written in neat, careful handwriting. This is just the beginning. Everyone who helped the bastard will pay, one by one, until there's nothing left. Hyunwoo. He was back, and he was hunting them. Minjun read the note over her shoulder, and she felt him go rigid. Get every servant into the main hall. Now. Full head count. I want to know exactly who's missing and who's here. Move. Security scrambled to obey. Within 10 minutes, every staff member was assembled. Every staff member except 2. Minho was gone. The traitorous head of security had vanished. And so had Soo-jin. No, Jasmine breathed. No, he wouldn't. She's innocent. She didn't do anything except be my friend. But the note in her hand said otherwise. And when they searched Soo-jin's room, they found signs of a struggle. Overturned furniture, broken glass, and blood on the floor. Hyunwoo had taken her. As bait. As leverage. As revenge. Jasmine's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered, already knowing who it would be. Hello, Jasmine. Hyunwoo's voice was cheerful. Too cheerful. Miss your friend? She misses you. Don't you, Soo-jin? In the background, Jasmine could hear muffled crying. Then a scream that cut off abruptly. Here's how this works, Hyunwoo continued. You come to me. Alone. No brother. No police. No heroes. Just you. Or I start sending pieces of your friend back to the mansion. We'll start with fingers. Work our way up to more important parts. Where? Jasmine's voice was dead calm. The warehouse district. Gangnam. You know the one. Where father used to store his special imports before the business went legitimate. Come alone. You have 2 hours. Clock's ticking. He hung up. Jasmine stood there, phone in hand, mind racing. Every logical part of her brain screamed that this was a trap, that she'd be walking to her death. That Hyunwoo would kill both her and Soo-jin regardless of whether she followed his instructions. But the other part of her, the part that had refused to back down from the beginning, knew that she didn't have a choice. Soo-jin was in danger because of her. Because she'd been kind to Jasmine when no one else was. And that meant saving her was Jasmine's responsibility. Don't even think about it, Minjun said quietly. It's a trap. I know. He'll kill you. Probably. Then why are you looking at me like you're about to do something incredibly stupid? Jasmine met his eyes. Because that's who I am. I do stupid, reckless things when people I care about are in danger. You know that about me by now. Jasmine. I'm going. You can't stop me. But you can help me. Give me a weapon. A wire. Something so that when this goes sideways, you'll at least know where the bodies are. They stared at each other. The same argument they'd had before. The same impossible situation. But this time, Jasmine could see the moment Minjun made his decision. The moment he stopped trying to protect her and started trusting her to protect herself. Okay, he said quietly. But we do this smart. You wear a wire. I'll have a team position nearby. The second things go wrong, we move in. Fine. But Minjun. She grabbed his arm. If it comes down to me or Soo-jin, you save her. Understand? She's innocent. I chose this life. She didn't. That's not happening. Promise me. No. Minjun. I said no. His voice was steel. I'm not losing you. I couldn't save Yuna from Hyunwoo's poison. But I will save you. Even if I have to burn Seoul to the ground to do it. There was no time to unpack what that meant. No time to address the emotion raw in his voice. The clock was ticking, and Soo-jin was running out of time. 40 minutes later, Jasmine pulled up to the warehouse district in a car borrowed from the mansion. The area was industrial, all concrete and rust and broken streetlights. At this hour, it was deserted. The perfect place for murder. The warehouse Hyunwoo had specified was at the end of a dead-end street. 3 stories of corroded metal and shattered windows. The front door hung open, a black mouth waiting to swallow her whole. Jasmine checked the wire hidden under her shirt. It was barely bigger than a button, but knowing Minjun was listening made her feel slightly less alone. She took a deep breath, sent a prayer to whatever deity might be listening, and walked through that door. Inside, the warehouse was a maze of abandoned shipping containers and broken machinery. Emergency lights cast everything in sickly green shadows. Her footsteps echoed off the walls, announcing her presence to anyone listening. I'm here, she called out. I came alone like you asked. Now where's Soo-jin? Laughter echoed from somewhere above. You actually came. I'm almost impressed. Stupid, but impressed. Hyunwoo appeared on a catwalk 2 stories up. Behind him, Minho held Soo-jin. She was bound and gagged, her face bruised, but alive. When she saw Jasmine, she started struggling, trying to scream around the gag. Let her go, Jasmine said. You wanted me. Here I am. She's got nothing to do with this. But that's where you're wrong. Hyunwoo started descending a metal staircase, taking his time. She has everything to do with this. She was kind to you, warned you about my mother, helped you. And in my new world order, kindness to my enemies is a crime punishable by death. He reached the ground floor and walked toward Jasmine slowly, savoring every moment. Do you know what it's like to lose everything? To watch your entire life collapse because people decided you weren't good enough? To be cast aside for someone who shouldn't even exist? Yeah, Jasmine said flatly. I do. I was raised in poverty. Worked 3 jobs to afford to eat. Came to Korea with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. So don't talk to me about losing everything. You've never known what it's like to have nothing. You just got a taste of what the rest of us live with every day. Hyunwoo's expression darkened. How dare you compare your situation to mine? You're nothing. A servant. A black woman who's smarter, stronger, and better than you'll ever be. Jasmine cut him off. Say it. That's what you really hate about me, isn't it? Not that I defied you. Not that I helped your brother. But that I'm everything your racism tells you I shouldn't be. Successful. Confident. Unbreakable. And it kills you that someone like me could take down someone like you. The slap came fast, snapping her head to the side. But Jasmine had been hit before. Harder, and by worse people. She turned back to face him, blood on her lip, and smiled. That all you got? Hyunwoo pulled out a gun. The same one from the estate. I'm going to enjoy this. But wait. Because at that exact moment, 3 things happened simultaneously. First, Soo-jin managed to work her gag loose and screamed. It's a trap. There are more of them. Behind the. Second, figures emerged from behind the shipping containers. 6 men. Armed. Wearing masks. Not police. Not Minjun's people. Someone else entirely. And third, the lights went out. Every single one. plunging the warehouse into absolute darkness. Jasmine dropped to the ground on instinct as gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like lightning. She crawled behind a container, trying to get her bearings, trying to figure out what the hell was happening. Through the wire, she heard Minjun's voice. Urgent. Panicked. Jasmine. What's happening? I'm coming in. No, she hissed. It's an ambush. Stay back. But she knew he wouldn't. Knew he was already moving. And that's when she understood. This wasn't just Hyenwa's revenge. This was bigger. Someone else was involved. Someone with resources and planning, and a reason to want both the Kong brothers dead. The gunfire stopped as abruptly as it started. Emergency lighting flickered back on. Jasmine peered around the container and saw carnage. 3 of Hyenwa's men were down. The mysterious masked figures were retreating, and Hyunwoo himself was on the ground, clutching his arm where a bullet had grazed him. But that wasn't what made Jasmine's blood run cold. Standing in the center of the warehouse, perfectly calm, perfectly composed, was Minho, and he wasn't pointing his gun at the masked men. He was pointing it at Hyunwoo. You thought you were in control, Minho said quietly. But you never were. You've been my puppet from the beginning. Hyenwa's face went white. What? You work for me. You've always worked for me. I work for myself. Minho smiled, and it was terrifying. And for the people who paid me very well to ensure the Kong family destroyed itself from within. Mrs. Kong, Hyunwoo, Minjun, even the old man. All of you played your parts beautifully. Who? Jasmine demanded, stepping out from behind the container. Who's paying you? Minho's eyes slid to her. Someone who's been waiting 30 years for revenge against the Kong family. Someone who lost everything because of Mr. Kang's ambition. And someone who's about to get everything back. A figure emerged from the shadows. Older, distinguished, wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than Jasmine had made in her entire life. And when she saw his face, when she registered the resemblance, her mind went blank with shock. Because she knew that face, had seen it in the portraits lining the mansion halls. This man was Mr. Kang's brother, the one who'd been written out of the family history. The one who disappeared 30 years ago after being accused of embezzlement. Hello, Jasmine, he said pleasantly. I'm Kong Dae-hoon, and I'm here to take back what's mine. Before she could process that, before she could even think, the warehouse doors exploded inward. Minjun burst through with a dozen armed men, guns drawn, shouting orders. But Dae-hoon was already moving. He grabbed Sujin, pressing a knife to her throat. Nobody moves, or the girl dies. Everything froze. Dae-hoon smiled. Here's what's going to happen. Minjun, you're going to call your father. Tell him to meet us at the old Kong compound. The one where we grew up. Where he betrayed me. And you're going to tell him that if he doesn't come alone, I'll kill every person in this warehouse one by one. Starting with this girl. Then Jasmine. Then even Hyunwoo, useless as he is. Let them go, Minjun said quietly. This is between you and my father. Oh, but it's not. Dae-hoon's expression turned ugly. It's about blood. It's about family. It's about a bastard like you thinking you deserve what should be mine. See, your father stole my birthright. Framed me for crimes I didn't commit. Took the company our grandfather built and made it his own. And now, 30 years later, I'm taking it back. Along with everything else. His empire. His sons. His life. He pressed the knife closer to Sujin's throat, and a line of blood appeared. Make the call, nephew. Or watch her bleed. Minjun's hand moved to his phone, but his eyes found Jasmine's across the warehouse. And in them, she saw a question. A plan. A desperate gamble. She gave the smallest nod. Then she moved, sprinting directly at Dae-hoon, ignoring her screaming shoulder, ignoring the gun Minho swung toward her. She threw herself at the older man with all her weight, slamming into him and Sujin both. They went down in a tangle of limbs. Run, she screamed at Sujin. Go. Gunfire erupted again. Minjun's men engaged Minho and the remaining masked figures. Chaos consumed the warehouse. Jasmine felt hands on her throat. Dae-hoon's hands, impossibly strong for a man his age. She clawed at his face, her vision starting to blur. Then suddenly the pressure was gone. Minjun had pulled Dae-hoon off her, and the two men were fighting. Brutal. Vicious. A lifetime of family hatred condensed into punches and blood. Jasmine struggled to her feet, gasping for air. Across the warehouse, she saw Hyunwoo crawling toward a gun one of the fallen men had dropped. Saw him raise it, aim it at Minjun's back. No. She launched herself forward again, putting her body between the gun and Minjun for the second time in 2 weeks. The shot rang out. Pain exploded through her side. Not her shoulder this time. Lower. Deeper. She looked down and saw blood spreading across her shirt. Saw Hyenwa's expression shift from triumph to horror as he realized what he'd done. Jasmine fell, hit the concrete hard, heard Minjun screaming her name. The last thing she saw before the darkness took her was Daehoon running, Minho following, and Hyunwoo dropping the gun, staring at his hands like he didn't recognize them. Then nothing. So here's where I need you guys. Is Jasmine going to survive this one? Will Hyunwoo finally face justice? And who the hell is Kang Daehoon really? And what else is he planning? Comment below with your theories. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because part 3 is going to be explosive. And share this video with anyone who loves intense, dramatic stories because True Soul Stories is just getting started. Where are you watching from? Let me know. Until next time, this is your girl bringing you the truth, one soul story at a time.